In this tutorial, we'll be opening Photoshop and exploring some of the basic concepts and tools. In your Adobe Technical Communications Suite, click on Adobe Photoshop CS 5.1 to get started. In the top right corner of the screen, you'll see that there are three options for the workspace: Essentials, Design, and Painting. We will choose Essentials for this tutorial. Along the top of the screen are standard menu tabs. File is where we open and save our files. Edit allows us to undo, fade, and perform other actions. Also, this is where we set our preferences. If you want to change the appearance of the cursors, the units, or the rulers, or any of the other settings of your work area, this is where you do it. Image allows us to change properties of the image, such as color, size, and rotation. Layer gives us control over our layer properties and allows us to duplicate, merge, and group layers. Select allows us to make and change our selections. Filter is a lot of fun. That's where you're going to enjoy using Photoshop. There's a lot of preset filters that you can apply to your image for special effects, such as brush strokes, blurs, and liquefies. Liquefy is probably the easiest way in Photoshop to make things expand and contract. If you have the photo of yourself and you'd like to subtract 10 or 20 pounds, Liquefy is the tool that'll do it for you. The View tab allows you to zoom in or out, toggle rulers on and off, and set guides. Window gives you the option to open different panels for different functions. Under this toolbar is a secondary toolbar here that changes in respect to the tool that's activated down the left-hand side. To properly understand the tools and toolbars, you must first understand two of the main concepts in Photoshop: layers and selections. Layers are like a stack of paper. You can only see the top layer unless you make it transparent. There can be any number of layers underneath, and you can change the order of the layers at any time. An empty layer shows with a checkered background called a transparency grid. You have the layers panel here, and also the layer tab up top here. Both of those can be used to change layers. When we open an image, and let's just open one of a cute little puppy dog, it shows up immediately as a background layer in the layer panel. Because we want to leave our original image intact in case we make mistakes, it is a good idea to duplicate the background layer and use that as your working layer. You can do this by right-clicking on the layer, select Duplicate Layer, and click OK. You see a second layer appear. You can also do this up in the Layer tab. Duplicate Layer, OK, and you see another layer appear. You can also add a transparent layer by clicking on this icon down here, and you'll see it added a transparent layer with this checkered background. To make a layer active, you just left-click on it. Almost all of the actions in Photoshop are performed by either clicking with the left mouse button or clicking and holding the left mouse button down and then performing the action. To rearrange, you click and hold the button down and then just drag the layer wherever you want it. All of the layers can be arranged any way you like except for the background layer. As you can see, it always has to stay as the very bottommost layer. If for some reason you do wish to edit the background layer, double left-click on it, say OK, and it becomes a layer like any other and has all the regular editable properties. However, be careful now. If you make changes to that layer, that's not going to destroy your original image. Layers can easily be deleted by left-clicking, holding the mouse button down, and dragging it here. You can also perform the same action up here with the delete function. When you're working in your layers, you have to be sure that the layer that you want is selected, because that is the active layer. You can only make changes, actions, and edits on the active layer and in an active area. And that brings us to the other concept of selections. True to its name, selections consists of the parts of the image that you select or choose. You can select an entire photo, or just certain areas, or certain colors. Any actions you perform only act on the selection that is active. This left toolbar here has a number of tools that allow you to make selections and edit these selections. The Marquee tool allows you to make a rectangular or elliptical marquee. Again, you select the tool, left click, hold the button down, and then drag, and that's your selection. This border out here, the marching ants border, delineates the active area. Inside is a selection that all of your actions will be performed on, while the area outside of the border will be left as is. The move button, move tool, can be used to move any of the selections or the other tools that you've made. Another way to make a selection is using the lasso tool. The three options are the freehand lasso tool, the polygonal tool, which makes straight lines, just left click, drag the mouse, left click, drag the mouse, and the magnetic lasso tool. This can follow an edge if there's sufficient contrast. For all of the lasso tools, you have to be sure to make your end point meet up with your start point so that your selection is complete. The magic wand tool allows you to select areas that are of a similar color. You can adjust the tolerance of the magic wand tool up here in this menu. The higher the tolerance, the broader the color range that you'll select. If you have a tolerance of 1, it will only select one specific color. The next tool is the cropping tool. Up here you can change the dimensions. You can change the measurements, the units, the resolution, and then you simply left click, drag down, and make your selection. And that area is what your image will be cropped to. You can change it, and then just hit enter, and then that crop will occur. This is the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper is used to select a certain color. Once you select that, it shows up here in the foreground color and the background color. You can toggle between foreground and background with this little arrow icon. When you click on the color picker comes up here, and you can move this around to choose your color. You can see up here the colors changing. You can have a slider up and down. You can enter in the color you want. You can go to your color libraries, pick any one of the different books, and select a color in there. Just above the color tool is the zoom tool. Very simple to use. Just with a left click of the mouse, it will zoom in. Hold down the Alt key and left click, and it will zoom back out. If you're zoomed in this far and you decide you want to work on a different area of the image, click the hand tool, and that will allow you to move around anywhere you want. To get back to your original image, just double click the hand tool. The rest of the tools here are for drawing and editing the image. The dodge tool lets you dodge or burn, brighten or darken the image, the standard photographic developing terms. The blur and sharpen tool allows you to do just that. There's a gradient fill and a paint bucket tool. Standard eraser, again you can change all of the settings up top in this little toolbar. The clone stamp tool is one of the most useful tools in Photoshop. When it's selected and you click and hold down the Alt key and click on an area, it is basically memorizing the pixels in that area. Then you release the mouse button, move your cursor to a different area, click and hold the button down and start drawing. It will draw in the selection of that area that you first made in the new area. You're basically painting with the pixels. The brush and pencil tool, again, will be using the colors from the foreground and background color bar, and you can change the settings here. This little tool is very good for making just quick touch-ups. The spot healing, patch tool, and red-eye tool can just help fix up the little parts of your image that you'd want to tweak. The one other tool that we might use is the text tool. Just click on that, click on your image, and then you can add a layer of text. If you want anything other than the standard text options up here with the font style, size, alignment, and font color, you will have to rasterize the text. Text is a different format than the rest of your image, which is all in pixels. So if you want your text to act like the rest of the image and you want to be able to do all the other things on the text, then you have to go to Layer and you have to rasterize your text. But we won't be doing that in this lesson. There you have a very quick overview of the different tools, tabs, and panels and workspaces in Photoshop. Take a few minutes, left click, right click, look at the drop down menus, look through the different layer panels and other panels, and become familiar with the basic tools of Photoshop. When you feel you're comfortable, go on to the short quiz that follows this and answer a few questions. Once you're done that, you're ready for your next tutorial and well on your way to having fun in Photoshop.